You know, part of the trouble with the BBC is they never truly learn from their own lessons. I mean, you look at things like, say, what happened at Glastonbury only a couple of months back, and suddenly now the Director General, Tim Davie, says, oh yes, that never should have happened. It was anti-Semitic. But the thing is, you know, anybody else in that particular job would have condemned that far sooner. But of course, you know, this is the BBC. They don't like to offend anybody. Now the problem is truly this. The battle is drawn on the famous red BBC sofa. And not only that, it will mean, in my opinion, that one of them will have to go. As ever, let me explain. Chums, lovely to see you. Thank you so much for taking the time out to join me today, and welcome one and all brand new subscribers. Many of us now I don't know about you, but I remember watching breakfast TV in awe when I was growing up. I thought it was terrific, you know. The fact that you could watch television at that time in the morning. I mean, I know America had it a lot earlier than over here. We really only got it, you know, in the early 80s, stuff like that. And it just seemed a bit odd to us to have literally programming. I mean, it's ridiculous now, but you know, it was so novel and new. And you know, there were all these stars, a stable of people that suddenly you were welcoming in to your home for breakfast, right? And they became familiar faces. People like Frank Boff, of course, Selena Scott. And over on ITV, there were big names that, you know, still are around today. But of course, the problem that you have with the mainstream media is you live and die by certain things that happen, whether it be in social media, the way you react to a post or a story on air. You see, this particular individual, Nagga, well, she's done herself no favours, let's be honest, right? I mean, she mocked and laughed the flag, if you remember, the British flag, when ministers of Her Majesty's government at the time just were sat with a flag behind them as a showing of, you know, patriotism, respect, whatever you want to call it. She found this funny. She managed to escape that problem, but this problem, the bullying accusations, are proving far harder to shift. Now, the issue in my mind is this: the BBC is so badly run. They're too soft, they've got no idea how to deal with people, they need to be a lot firmer. You see, there was an investigation behind the scenes of, shall we say, not getting on, right, on the breakfast TV show. And as somebody who's worked on breakfast TV, none of them get on. You know, I was fortunate, as I say, I consider myself to be a theatrical performer, and then, you know, you present. The thing that I found out is these people think they're truly journalists, when in effect many of them are disco dollies that just read an auto cue, normally prepared by somebody else, and they're treated like superstars. Their own makeup artist, their own dressing room, their own car, you name it, they can get it. It's dwindling, but in that heady day, that's what you could get. Nagga was seen as this big BBC breakfast star. These accusations started to come out. The problem that you've got now is the editor, the main cheese of BBC Breakfast, has been thoroughly cleared of any bullying accusations. Now, I met Richard, nice enough bloke, worked with him a little bit, seemed very pleasant, right? What's interesting is this. Given the fact that, of course, now he's been cleared and many of the staff are basically saying he's a good guy to work for, this puts it in a very perilous state for their star, Miss Monchetti. Now, it has been said that she'd already decided to look round to perhaps join rivals like LBC and Sky, but apparently they didn't have deep enough pockets. Now, the BBC are going to have to crumble and either work out which one stays and which one goes. Or will it be a case of this particular editor-producer will not be on when she's on? They'll do anything in order not to deal with the situation in hand. But either way, this has been a costly investigation, once again for you, the taxpayer of the BBC. You see how this works. And of course, behind the scenes, seemingly nobody will lose their job. You don't think so? Look at what happened to Hugh Edwards. We never got that money back, and that should have been dealt with a lot quicker. This has been dragged out, and many people are suggesting, of course, certain individuals behind the scenes at the BBC dare not fire this particular individual, simply because the backlash would be too great. Either way, as I've often said, chums, it's far more exciting what goes on behind the scenes of a breakfast TV show than what actually happens on the screen. And if you think everybody's smiley, happy and thrilled to see each other, the more they put that out on social media, the more that you realise things are less than stellar on your breakfast TV screen. It's a developing story. When I know more, you'll know more. Neil Shawn in the very heart of London.